Most people are terrified of their own mind. They distract it, sedate it, fill it with noise, anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. Because a quiet mind forces you to confront who you really are. And Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than anyone who ever lived. He saw that the vast majority of people would rather suffocate inside comfortable lies than face one single uncomfortable truth. Weak minds break easily. But what if you could forge a mind so powerful, so unshakable, that it actually frightened the people around you? Today, we are diving into 10 of Nietzsche's most dangerous ideas that will rewire your psychology from the inside out. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never think the same way again. The herd mind. Nietzsche had a name for the way most people think. He called it herd mentality, and if you look around, you will see it everywhere. The herd does not think for itself. It follows trends, obeys social pressure, and mistakes popularity for truth. The herd instinct punishes anyone who dares to think independently. Look at your own life for a moment. How many of your opinions are actually yours? How many of your beliefs were handed to you by your parents, your culture, your social media feed? Be honest. Nietzsche argued that most people never examine their beliefs at all. They simply inherit them like old furniture. As he wrote, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. This is the first step to building an unbreakable mind, recognizing that you have been programmed. Your thoughts, your values, your fears, most of them are not yours. They belong to the herd. Break free from the herd. A strong mind begins the moment you stop letting other people think for you. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Once you leave the herd behind, you discover something even more disturbing about the way society is structured. Slave morality. Nietzsche identified something most people absolutely refuse to see, that the morality you were taught might not be strength at all. It might be weakness wearing a convincing mask. He called it slave morality, a value system created not by the powerful, but by the powerless. A morality born from resentment, not from genuine virtue. Think about it. How often do people call ambition selfish? How often is confidence labeled as arrogance? How often is the person who refuses to conform called dangerous or reckless? Nietzsche saw this pattern everywhere in civilization. As he put it, in individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. The slave does not create values. The slave reacts to the values of others. The slave calls the strong person evil because the slave is too weak to be strong. Weakness gets rebranded as morality, and resentment becomes righteousness. A powerful mind recognizes this game immediately. It stops confusing submission with virtue. It stops apologizing for its ambition. It stops shrinking itself to make others feel comfortable. But if slave morality is the disease, then what is the cure? Nietzsche had a radical answer, and it starts with how you face suffering. Amor fati. Nietzsche's most revolutionary idea might also be his most misunderstood. Amor fati, the love of fate, not just accepting what happens to you, but actively loving it. Every failure, every betrayal, every moment of agonizing suffering. Everything. This is not toxic positivity. This is radical psychological strength. Nietzsche argued that the truly strong mind does not merely endure pain, it transforms pain into raw power. As he declared, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Think of the worst thing that has ever happened to you. Now imagine wanting it to happen again, not because you enjoyed the suffering, but because you recognize that it forged who you are today. That is amor fati. If this concept is resonating deep within you, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the psychology of mental strength with me. Because we are only getting started. Love your fate completely. Most people run from their pain, but Nietzsche understood that pain is not your enemy, it is your greatest teacher. And this leads us directly to the force that drives all true transformation. Will to power. Nietzsche's most famous concept is also his most dangerously distorted. The will to power is not about dominating other people. It never was. It is about dominating yourself. It is the relentless internal drive to grow, to overcome, to become more than what you currently are. The discipline of suffering, of great suffering. Do you not know that only this discipline has created all enhancements of man so far? Every meaningful achievement in human history came from this drive. Every artist who created a masterpiece, every scientist who shattered a paradigm, every leader who changed the trajectory of civilization, they were all fueled by the will to power. the will to surpass their own limitations. True power is not control over others, but absolute mastery over yourself. Look at your own life right now. Where are you settling? Where are you choosing comfort over growth? Where are you coasting when you should be climbing? Master yourself first, always. The will to power demands that you stop playing it safe. It demands that you push past every boundary you have accepted as permanent. Because Nietzsche knew something terrifying: comfort is the slowest form of death. And when you truly internalize this, you are forced to confront something even darker: the abyss. Nietzsche gave us one of the most haunting warnings in all of philosophy. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Building a truly powerful mind means confronting the darkest parts of human nature, including your own. Your jealousy, your cruelty, your capacity for destruction, it is all in there, lurking beneath the surface. Most people pretend their darkness does not exist. They project it onto enemies. They blame the world for the chaos raging inside their own psyche, but Nietzsche understood that you cannot defeat what you refuse to see. The strongest minds are those that have faced their own darkness without flinching. This is not about becoming cold or heartless. This is about radical honesty with yourself. It is about looking at every ugly impulse, every shadow, every secret fear, and choosing not to look away. Because when you stare into your own abyss long enough, something unexpected happens. You stop being afraid, you find clarity, you find power, and that power prepares you for the most important battle of your entire life: self-overcoming. Nietzsche believed that the highest form of human achievement is not success, not wealth, not fame. It is self-overcoming, the continuous process of destroying your old self to create something greater in its place. Destroy, rebuild, evolve, repeat. This is what Nietzsche truly meant by the Übermensch, not a comic book superhero, but a human being who has transcended their own limitations through relentless and brutal self-transformation. You must be willing to burn down the person you were, to become the person you need to be. Think about who you were 5 years ago. If you have not drastically changed since then, you have not been growing, you have been slowly stagnating. The truly strong mind is never static. It is always in motion, always evolving, always questioning its own assumptions and tearing them apart. As Nietzsche wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind." Evolve. Self-overcoming is deeply uncomfortable. It requires you to abandon beliefs you have held for decades. It requires you to admit you were completely wrong. And it demands something that most people fear above all else: pain as fuel. Most people avoid suffering at all costs. Nietzsche said this was the single greatest mistake a human being could make. Because suffering is not a bug in the system, it is the system. Think about every genuine breakthrough in your life. It came after a breakdown. Every moment of real strength was born from a period of real struggle. Every version of you that was worth anything was forged in a fire you did not choose. Nietzsche understood this at the deepest possible level. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The people who terrify the world with their mental strength all share one thing in common. They did not run from pain, they ran directly toward it. They used every wound, every failure, every humiliation as raw material for their transformation. Pain creates power always. Consider the greatest minds in all of history. Beethoven composed his finest symphony while completely deaf. Dostoevsky wrote his masterpieces after literally facing a firing squad. Nietzsche himself created his most profound works while battling devastating illness. Unbreakable. These were not people who avoided suffering. They alchemized suffering into greatness. And this alchemy requires one specific and terrifying ingredient: solitude's edge. The ingredient is solitude, and most people are absolutely terrified of it. Nietzsche spent much of his productive life alone, wandering through the Swiss Alps, riding in complete isolation, thinking thoughts that nobody around him could begin to understand. And it was precisely in that solitude that he forged the most powerful mind of his entire era. The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends. In the modern world, solitude is treated like a disease that needs curing. We fill every silence with notifications, every moment of stillness with mindless scrolling, every opportunity for deep reflection with cheap distraction. But the strongest minds in history were all built in silence, not in the noise of the crowd. Nietzsche understood that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is a prison you are trapped in. Solitude is a laboratory you choose to enter. It is where you test your ideas without interference, confront your fears without witnesses, and build yourself without the constant suffocating pressure to perform for others. In solitude, you discover not who the world wants you to be, but who you actually are. And once you truly know who you are, you become ready to challenge something that most people never dare to question. Beyond Good, Evil. Nietzsche wrote an entire book called Beyond Good and Evil, and most people completely misunderstand its message. He was not saying that morality does not matter. He was saying that most morality is not actually moral at all. Question every rule ruthlessly. Society hands you a set of rules and calls them truth. Your religion gives you commandments and calls them divine. Your culture gives you expectations and calls them simply the way things are. But Nietzsche demanded that you examine every single one of these, not necessarily to destroy them, but to determine if they are actually yours. What if the values you live by were specifically designed to keep you obedient, not to make you free? As he wrote, there are no facts, only interpretations. A mind that never questions its own values is not strong, it is domesticated. The truly powerful mind does not accept moral frameworks blindly, it interrogates them. It dismantles them piece by piece. And then, and this is the crucial part that everyone misses, it builds its own from the ground up. This brings us to the ultimate expression of Nietzschean strength and the real reason why truly powerful minds terrify the people around them. The Creator. Nietzsche said the ultimate act of human strength is not destruction, it is creation. Specifically, the creation of your own values from the ground up. 1. Reject inherited beliefs that do not serve your growth. 2. Embrace suffering as the forge of unbreakable character. 3. Build your own moral framework from lived experience. 4. Live so authentically that it unsettles the comfortable. This is precisely why powerful minds terrify people, not because they are aggressive or cruel, but because they refuse to play by rules they did not choose. They refuse to think thoughts that were handed to them by someone else. They refuse to live lives designed by committee. The Creator breaks the chains and soars. You were not born to follow a script, you were born to write your own. Nietzsche called this the spirit of the lion, the spirit that roars no at everything that constrains it. But beyond the lion lies something even more powerful, the spirit of the child. The spirit that says yes to creating something entirely new from nothing. Create. The mind that truly terrifies people is never the mind that destroys. It is the mind that creates so powerfully, so authentically, that it forces everyone around it to question their own reality. Nietzsche did not write for the comfortable. He wrote for the brave, for those few willing to strip away every illusion and stand face to face with raw, unfiltered existence. Strong minds terrify always. Building an unbreakable mind is not about becoming heartless or cruel. It is about becoming radically honest. Honest with yourself, honest about your deepest weaknesses, and honest about the world you actually live in, not the one you were told exists. As Nietzsche declared in his final great insight, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Find your why, forge your mind, and let the world tremble at what you become. If you made it this far, comment Übermensch awakened if you are ready to stop following the herd and start building a mind that terrifies the ordinary. Welcome to the Psyche Project. If this transformed the way you think, subscribe for more. Understanding your psyche is the work of a lifetime. See you in the next video.